large or small, fear has an impact on them all.
In many recent events, people's fears are taking over them, and what they do reveal all over the world.
Do you remember in early 2020 when people were storming into stores and grabbing anything they could get a hold of?
Toilet paper and cleaning supplies were being emptied off the shelves in every store you can imagine. From Costco to Walmart, toilet paper was all gone.
Why do you think this happened?
People were scared. They were expecting the worst to come from this pandemic and were trying their best to prepare for it.
Yeah, that's right. When survival is threatened, people will do anything to protect it. Passing it on to Sara and Kate from Psychology Today, who will explain the research and studies behind this.
Thank you, Diya. Kate and I will take it from here. Fear and its effects on people's decisions is very interesting. It can be beneficial or harmful depending on the situation and risk factors. Sometimes the right amount of fear for the right situation is needed. Things like a pandemic are worrisome and can be threatening, so being precautious is imperative for survival.
On the other hand, research also shows that sometimes having no fear or feeling like you have total personal control can lead to bad outcomes from bad decisions. Common in teenagers who willingly engage in risk-taking due to things like peer pressure and inexperience. You only live once is a common belief amongst youngsters.
In literature, there are many examples of people being controlled by fear. For example, Kurt Vonnegut's Harrison Bergeron, a dystopian society where people are restricted from their better qualities and have their freedom of thought taken away with the use of handicaps.
This technological and bureaucratic control over the people have built fear in society of people being unequal or different from one another.
In the text, George Bergeron is someone with advanced intelligence and is severely handicapped because of it. If he tries to lessen the handicap, he would have to pay the repercussions.
If I tried to get away with it, said George, then other people would get away with it, and pretty soon we'd be right back to the Dark Ages again, with everybody competing against everybody.
That's kind of ironic, isn't it?
Yeah, that is pretty ironic, because the use of Dark Ages, as described by George, was when innovation and free thought was allowed. People having their own talents was threatening to the equality between people. When our society, free thought, individuality, and people's talents allowed us to leave the Dark Ages and become a modern functioning society. Society's fear of inequality and superiority in time leads to the hindrance of society's progression.
Speaking of which, the dystopian protagonist Harrison is seen as a threat because he rebels against society and doesn't conform to the laws.
Clanking, clownish, and huge, Harrison stood in the center of the studio. The knob of the uprooted studio door was still in his hand. Ballerinas, technicians, musicians, and announcers cowered on their knees before him, expecting to die.
The people within the studio are shown to be on their knees expecting to die because of this fear instilled in them, because Harrison isn't handicapped like they are. He's powerful and strong. They believe that if they disobey him, they will die.
What a classic dystopian text. A more modern dystopian literature by Neil Jared Sussman shows teenage characters and their fight for survival after California goes into a tap-out or runs out of water. These characters are put into many life or death situations throughout the entirety of the story. It's clear that fear takes a place in all the decisions made as they are slowly dying of dehydration. The fear of not surviving is ultimately the reason they make it out alive, but it also leads to society losing control and becoming barbaric.
To give you some insight, here's an excerpt of one of the characters going through fear, controlling his thoughts and mind.
After this short break.
When facing her worst nightmare, will her fear help or hinder? Will she be able to escape the mask? Coming to your theaters on October 31st.
Now back to Dry.
Alright, this isn't funny now. Alright, maybe it never really was. Alright, there are dead people in bags, and the helicopter flies away. And I've no idea when it will be back with water to keep other people from finding their way into bags. And I never wipe my pants, and I never will, but I swear to you, I come really, really close.
Henry finds bodies in school. The use of an afro, alright, helps portray his mind racing and how he doesn't know what to do. It truly shows how scared and terrified he is after he finds the bodies. Fear takes control over his mind. He comes to a realization that the situation isn't a joke and it is very serious.
Wow, that use of an metaphor really captures how fear has a strong influence on your mind during stressful situations really well. You can tell he can't grasp reality and is horrified by what he saw. He's starting to understand how desperate and barbaric society is, and beginning to fear for his own life after seeing so many people who are in the same situation as him end up dead.
As the shortage of water increases, survival becomes difficult, which forces characters to go to whatever lengths they can to obtain water.
But even if she does, what good will it do? She's out in the middle of nowhere, alone. If the fire doesn't get her, she'll die of thirst out here. But still, I turn my back on her and leave, because I have made my choice. If she has to die for my brother to live, then I will take her water and leave her to die. Henry was right. Sometimes it's the monsters who survive, and now I am the monster.
In the novel Dry, the main character, Alyssa, faces the dilemma to either let the woman have the last cup of water and let her live, or save her dying brother. She was afraid to lose the only family member, so she made the difficult decision to let someone die. Her character was well known for being humane and considerate, even when others were not. And now fear drove her to be inhumane when it came to the survival of someone she loved.
Your survival and love can make you do crazy things.
That's right. Well, that's all we have, people. Fear is a prevalent and controlling factor in people's decision making in their everyday life.
Thanks
for watching, and stay tuned for next time on Channel 7.